In this unit, we're going to cover titling vehicles. I'm going to give you a quick refresher on dealer reassignments. We'll talk about how the purchaser selects a county for registration. We'll go over license plate transfers, talk about foreign and imported vehicles, give you a quick refresher on web dealer. We'll talk about inspections, salvage titles, and nationwide motor vehicle bureaus. Titling vehicles. I'm assuming that you are already aware of this, but when you sell a vehicle to a retail purchaser on your lot, state law requires you to complete all documents necessary to title and register the vehicle in the customer's name. A dealer may be exempt from transferring the title based on the vehicle weight, and we'll talk about those exemptions in just a moment. You are also required to file the paperwork with the appropriate county tax assessor-collector's office within 30 days of the sale when the vehicle was paid for with cash or if you used a third-party lender. If you are financing the vehicle, then you're required to file the paperwork with the appropriate county tax assessor-collector's office within 45 days of the sale and 60 days for military purchasers. If your customer goes to the assessor-collector's office to transfer the title of a vehicle that was purchased from your dealership, an official complaint will be filed with the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles against you, and you could face disciplinary action. You must complete all documents required to register and title for most vehicles you sell on your lot to a retail customer. It is Texas law. As you can see, there are a few exemptions when a dealer is not required to complete the documents to register the vehicle, such as vehicles that have been declared a total loss, salvage and non-repairable vehicles, vehicles sold to out-of-state residents or foreign residents or other dealers, vehicles with over 11,000 pounds gross weight, and trailers and semi-trailers weighing 4,000 pounds or less. Next, I want to give you a really quick overview on completing titles correctly. A Texas dealer license number is required on all assignments and reassignments of a motor vehicle title. A dealer that holds an independent GDN is never allowed to reassign a manufacturer's certificate of origin or an MCO. You may only reassign a certificate of title with an independent GDN. To use manufacturer certificate of origins, you would have to be a franchised dealer. You're not required to title or register a used vehicle in the dealership name before assigning the vehicle to a subsequent purchaser. However, if you want to register any vehicle, then you must file for an application for Texas title. For example, if you purchase a vehicle at a dealer auction and you'd like to use that vehicle as a towing vehicle, you would need to register, pay sales tax, and title that vehicle. When you're purchasing a vehicle to resell, whether you are purchasing it from an individual, directly from another dealer, or at a dealer auction, you must ensure that you're completing the title correctly. As a reminder, when you're purchasing vehicles to resell from an individual or taking a trade-in, be sure you never purchase a vehicle with an open title. And here you see an example of an open title. Let's go ahead and magnify this example so we can discuss the importance of identifying vehicles with open titles. You can see where the previous seller was asked to print and sign their name. However, all the purchaser's information was left blank or open. Possession of this title is illegal. If you think about it, the person attempting to sell you this vehicle is basically acting as a non-licensed person, illegally acting as a dealer. This person has not completed the legal steps that you have to obtain and maintain your legal dealer's license. Not only is this transaction illegal, but if you think about it, why would you ever support a person that was acting as an unlicensed illegal dealer? Step away from this transaction immediately. When purchasing a vehicle from an individual, be sure you're only purchasing the vehicle from the person whose name is clearly printed on the front of the title. Always be sure to complete the assignments from the top of the back of the title down, to the bottom of the back is the title that you see here. And when you have all those assignments complete, then you have what you see here, which is a full title. Now, dealer's reassignment of title for motor vehicle form VTR-41-A may be used when the title is full. So you can use form VTR-41-A when open assignments are still available on the title. Now, this is a secure document, and obviously you cannot download this. You must obtain a VTR-41-A form from a regional service center. And always remember that important control number is located on the lower right of Form VTR-41-A. Here you see an example of a title that has open reassignments available, but the dealer has chosen to reassign the vehicle using Form VTR-41-A. Note the reassignment information in the second reassignment box. A dealer making a reassignment on Form VTR-41-A when open reassignments are available on the title or an existing secure document, such as VTR-41-A, must write in the next open reassignment, reassigned on, and then enter the control number of the Form VTR-41-A. And like I said, that control number is printed in red. It will have 8 digits, and it's located in the lower right corner of Form VTR-41-A. Now, this screen shows an example if the VTR-41-A control number is the number, which would happen to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which I'm sure will never be the actual control number, but this is obviously an example of the control number and how it would be used to enter on a title that has been reassigned using Form VTR-41-A. I want you to be aware, if a licensed dealer's name is on the front of the title, the dealer may not use Form VTR-41-A to assign the motor vehicle to a transferee. In situations where a licensed dealer is the recorded owner on the face of the title, then the dealer must make assignment on the back of the certificate of title. You may never use a VTR-41-A form if the dealership owner's name is listed on the front of the title. I always want to give you that reminder. The purchaser must select the county for the vehicle to be registered. Always remember, your purchaser chooses the county for registration. You may never choose the county of the registration. The purchaser chooses that, and they're allowed to select one of 3 counties for the vehicle they purchased from you to be registered in. Dealer is not allowed to make that decision, so make sure that you always allow the purchaser to make that decision. And those 3 registration options would be either the county where the sale took place, or the county in which the customer lives, or the county of the lien holder. Those are one of the 3 choices. The retail purchaser must designate one of the 3 county choices for the vehicle they purchased from you to be registered. And you are required to have that purchaser complete a county of title issuance form VTR-136 and keep this form in your records. This form must be completed on all retail sales by the dealer when the vehicle is being titled in the state of Texas. The title transfer documents and fees must be sent to the county that is chosen by the purchaser. This form is not submitted with other documentation that you're submitting to your own county tax assessor collector's office. Really the only exceptions to completing Form VTR-136 would be a vehicle that's declared a total loss, or a salvage vehicle, or a vehicle purchased by a person that lives in another country and is taking the vehicle out of the country immediately, vehicles sold to out-of-state dealers, or vehicles sold to out-of-country dealers, vehicles that weigh over 11,000 pounds, and trailers that weigh less than 4,000 pounds. So here you see that Form VTR-136. Be sure you complete this form in its entirety with the customer obviously choosing the county to be registered. Be sure you keep a copy of all documents that have been completed on every vehicle that you sell. Remember, you will never have too much paperwork. I also want to give you a quick review of license plate transfers. You can use Form VTR-904 to transfer license plates from a purchaser's Texas registered vehicle to a newly purchased used vehicle at the time of the application, if it is allowed by law. The dealer is required to remove the plates and stickers on cars 6,000 pounds or less and light trucks 10,000 pounds or less at the time of the trade-in or the dealer purchase. I want to repeat that. The dealer is required to remove the plates and sticker on cars that are 6,000 pounds or less and light trucks that are 10,000 pounds or less at the time of the trade-in or when you're purchasing a vehicle to resell. Here you see Form VTR-904. Be sure once again that you complete this form as all other forms in its entirety. And I always want to remind you that you can go to the TexasDealers.com website, scroll down to the bottom on any page and click on Texas Dealer Forms to be sure you're using all the required forms on every transaction. Foreign and imported vehicles. Let's first talk about importing a vehicle from another state. The following information must be included when purchasing a vehicle from another state. Proof of inspection, that's your vehicle inspection report or, VIR. Vehicle inspection report is also required on all Texas titles that reflect the VIN certification has been waived when applying for the registration. Odometer disclosure is required unless that vehicle is exempt. An original out-of-state title or other valid ownership evidence, proof of sales tax payment or current foreign or military ownership document, completed Form 130-U. The applicant names on Form 130-U must match that which are reflected on a government-issued photograph identification, and that's a Texas state law as well. The following information must be included when purchasing a vehicle from another country. So if you're importing a vehicle into the United States, into Texas from another country, the vehicle must meet all federal and state importation requirements prior to titling and or registering the vehicle in Texas. You will need a form from the United States Customs and Border Protection Office documenting the vehicle has been legally imported through customs. So, you might go to Google and search for CBP vehicle import forms to assist you. The vehicle must meet the federal motor vehicle safety standards that are established by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The vehicle must pass a Texas vehicle inspection if you're going to be obtaining registration. The vehicle also must be inspected by a trained auto theft investigator who is a law enforcement officer in the state of Texas. So the investigator must be an employee or assigned to, say, for example, a municipal police auto theft unit or a county sheriff's department auto theft unit or a Texas Department of Public Safety Criminal Investigations Division or Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority or an authorized employee of the National Insurance Crime Bureau. Upon completion of this VIN inspection, you will be provided with an original law enforcement identification number inspection, and that's Form VTR-68-A, which is signed by the investigator. You might also need some various custom forms as well. After your vehicle passes customs, federal, and state inspections, take all the documentation to your county tax office, including an English translation of any document that's printed in any other language other than English.